All right, 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM listeners, you already know what time it is, and right here, right now, we actually have a legendary, iconic hip-hop artist right here live on the line. We actually have one of the founding members of the iconic East Coast hip-hop group Public Enemy. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, we have Professor Griff right here live on the line. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing okay. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I gotta say, first and foremost, Griff, I have been a Public Enemy fan for long as I could actually remember, man. So just being able to converse with you on my radio station airwaves this evening, honestly, is such a tremendous honor.
Oh, good thanks. I really appreciate that. And we don't want to use the term fan. We use the term family, fam. You understand what I'm saying? Because the people that recognized and understood and felt Public Enemy from early on became our family as we travel throughout the world, man. So thank you very much. Really appreciate that.
Hey, you are most certainly welcome, but I do know you are a very busy individual, Griff, so I'm not going to take too much of your time this evening, so I'm going to dive right into this. But as we already know, you are a founding member of Public Enemy, but I was wondering, what is the origin story behind this group? And of course, what actually made all of you guys decide to come together and create such a unique group? Because you guys were talking about topics, man, that, I'm going to be honest, everyone was actually afraid to bring up these topics publicly back in the day. You guys were pioneers at that.
So the origin basically originated, with Chuck D, Hank Shockley, the Blob Squad. You understand what I'm saying? And that origin was there because of a Hellfire University being we could express those things on the radio show that Chuck did. He brought Flavor in to be his co-host on some of the shows, and then Flavor eventually got his own show on the radio for a segment or two, and then Hank Shockley, and then Keith Shockley, Terminator X. He wasn't Terminator X then, but getting together with myself and doing the shows off of the radio and doing the live shows, the gigs throughout Long Island, throughout New York. So when Chuck got the deal, he just kind of brought everything and everyone together that he was already working with. That is the origin and everybody kind of played their role and played their part.
And also, as well, I actually read that Public Enemy actually started out as an opening act for the Beastie Boys in the mid to late '80s. From what you can recall, can you actually tell us a bit more about this tour? And of course, what was it like just sharing the stage with those three individuals at the time? Because I've heard some crazy stories that the Beastie Boys were definitely a fun group to be around.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely, man. Every night, them shows were getting crazier and crazier. So, yeah, seeing that side of hip-hop was kind of shocking to me, but, hey, people express hip-hop in their own kind of way that they want to express it. But it was a beautiful thing because we saw hip-hop being embraced by different cultures, different people that didn't look like us. So it was a beautiful thing, and hip-hop was spreading far and wide. Very, 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 very quick. We just found our place in it, opening for the Beastie Boys, having being looked at like, okay, Beastie Boys is fun, happy, crazy on stage, three white kids doing hip hop, and then before them, you had some pro-black militant cats. You understand what I'm saying? That was speaking truth to power. So it was a definitely different kind of dynamic. But the radical white kids at that time understood it because those are the ones that was bred on punk. You understand what I'm saying? And different forms of alternative rock. So they understood Public Enemy. And plus, they was angry, like we were.
And I have to ask, because obviously you were on tour with them, and just when I said, those individuals are crazy, I heard the giggle, you definitely agreed with that one. So I have to ask, man, what was one of the most craziest things you actually witnessed from this License to Ill tour that you guys were actually a part of back in the late 80s?
I don't know, the whole idea of, women being in cages on either side of the stage, that was a critical thing. It's almost reminiscent of your average strip club meets barroom brawl meets hardcore hip hop meets. Thinking about it now, it's funny as hell because meets being embraced by both sides of the coin. When I say both sides of the coin, not black and white, but music and non-music people just kind of like, okay, I've never seen this before, but let me go to the gig, let me see it for myself. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it was perfectly named, License to Just Ill Out. Just do what it is that you, whatever you want to do, under the umbrella of hip hop.
I gotta say though, just something with that dynamic of that tour. If that was to go on in 2022, I honestly think with this day and age, the way individuals are, I really think that would actually get shut down very quickly. But
I think it would, and it'd probably get canceled the first couple of dates, and yeah, it kind of wouldn't last long. Yeah.
Gotta love the 80s, man. You know what I mean? You can get away with so much back then, but now it's just the whole cancel culture stuff is just it's crazy to me, honestly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, my thing is, someone had said something to me in a meme that I'm one of the first ones to ever get canceled, especially in hip hop. I was like, wow, okay, thank you, but hey, I'm not marrying my energy to that. You know, I'm still here, still making music, still upholding the what Public Enemy started out doing. You understand what I'm saying? I'm still a rebel without a pause. For real.
I gotta say as well, I actually have to disagree with that meme, because at the end of the day, yes, you did leave Public Enemy, but you didn't get canceled because you still made a gang of phenomenal records on your own as well, dating back from like 1990 right to today.
Thank you. Yeah, I think of the person that put that meme together, maybe they're probably from this generation that really kind of don't look into a recent past and a recent history of those that helped shape the culture that they're benefiting from. You follow what I'm saying? So it's like, just do a little bit of research, man. You understand what I'm saying?
And also as well, on February 10th of 1987, Public Enemy actually released their debut album that actually became one of the fastest selling hip-hop records, titled Yo Bum Rush, the show. I was wondering if you can actually break down this iconic hip-hop record, and of course, how did it feel to be a brand new group then on the scene and have one of the fastest selling hip-hop records on the streets?
It wouldn't be fair for me to kind of break it down, being a part of it and watching it do what it did. The only thing I knew was we were doing something different. We wanted to shake up the world with what we were saying and what we were doing, because the lyrics and the music was only one aspect of what we were doing. It was a movement that we were setting for. You understand what I'm saying? So we were definitely not concerned about how many records were sold. That was the least of our concern. We wanted to see how many souls were being reached. And that was our thing. So if those stats came out and said it was one of the fastest-selling records, beautiful. Beautiful. Hats off to the Bomb Squad. Hats off to Terminator X. Of course, Chuck D, Flavor Flav, S1Ws, Security of the First World. Hats off, man. Def Jam and everyone that pushed the record forward. It's a beautiful thing to be recognized with those kind of accolades. But what about the people? The people were our concern. Were we putting in motion educational programs? Were we politicizing people? That was our major concern. So a lot of these things that you might even bring up are shocking and very surprising to us, because we are still concerned about the people. All power to all the people.
And the one thing I have to ask is pertaining to this record, because obviously, you guys are like I mentioned throughout the interview, you guys actually had such an effect on hip-hop in such a positive way. The way you guys brought your political stances and the messages that you guys spoke, like I mentioned, no other hip-hop group was doing this at this time. There was really no other political hip-hop artist that had the reach that you guys had. So when this album actually rose to the masses and actually got out to the world, what was the atmosphere like for you guys? Like, were you guys getting a lot of hate, or were you guys getting a lot of praise as well?
I think we got it both sides. We were getting, as you saw, we sampled a few radio jocks talking about no more music from the suckers, and they broke our record, not breaking the record as in the industry terms, but they actually cracked it in half and threw it away on the air.
Well, hey, as long as they paid for it, at least, you know what I mean? As long as they paid for it before they broke it.
Exactly. But yeah, we got respect from both sides. But we had to take our hats off to Chuck D. We have to say that he put it together politically, he put it together musically, and the people that came to his side and his aid to support the idea and energy that he set in motion, the Hank Shockleys, the Keith Shockleys, the Professor Griffs, Eric Vietnam Statler, Terminator X, Johnny Juice, everyone that came to his aid to make it happen. We got to take our hats off to Chuck, who set it all in motion, because he had the idea of speaking a record and music in political terms, which I thought was very, ingenious.
I gotta say, it definitely was. You guys, and I always said that Public Enemy was just the pioneers of just political hip hop, man. Because you guys were, in my opinion, were the first individuals in hip hop that got sick of people's shit. Excuse my language. You guys got sick of it and just been like, this is how it is. This is what's really going on. And you guys brought awareness to that as well. And one thing you guys always taught me was people hate the truth.
Wow, and that's to this day. Chuck said, we want to make music that women can't dance to, which will force them to be on the dance floor and having to listen now. Do you understand what I'm saying? We can't do anything about what they feel. We can do something about what they're actually listening to. So my thing is, when we went back and dug through the thousands and thousands of records that we had at 510 South Franklin Street in Hempstead, Long Island, New York, coming through the records, we found the right samples to put in place that was going to move the people's feet, move their souls, while we educate them at the same time. KRS-One came later on and said it very beautiful. He called it edutainment, which was a beautiful thing.
And also as well, on June 28th of 1988, you guys actually released my personal favorite record that I got to say, my entire radio career, I've actually been excited to hopefully lead up to this day to ask one of the members of Public Enemy about this record. But the record is actually called It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. I was wondering if you can actually just tell our listeners the story behind this iconic record. And of course, did you guys think it would be as big as it is today when you guys first released this second studio project?
I think when that record was being done, I think seeing the energy surrounding Public Enemy's first project, feeling Chuck and Hank's energy, the Bomb Squad, then knowing what was going on in the studio from what I was hearing, I said to myself, this record is about to be something if people can handle the subject matter. So when you start bringing in musicians to play upon this tracks, and when you start talking about certain subjects that will prick the conscience of the masses of the people, and then you start saying things that the government might come knocking on your door about, and that kind of thing. When you start talking about subjects that might end up being somebody's prerequisite for their doctorate in college, trying to get their degree, then you're on to something. You understand what I'm saying? And then at the same time, when you got a cat like Flavor Flav doing what he's doing and bringing that kind of energy to the table, along with someone like Spike Lee, you understand what I'm saying? Then it becomes very, very, very special. You understand what I'm saying? A mixture of all of that at that particular time and that energy moving forward and dropping that particular album, It Takes a Nation of Millions to hold us back. How befitting, because we understood it to that degree. It would take a nation of millions to hold the energy back, this movement back. This movement is going to move forward way beyond Public Enemy. And we did look past ourselves. We looked past Long Island, New York. We looked past the United States, and we started looking global. How are they going to receive this in Japan and in Africa, in Russia, and in other places? And that's how we looked at it. We looked at really raising 1 million black leaders so that we could change the dynamic of the reality of the human family. That may sound kind of deep, but when you piece it apart, it's really not. We were just waking people up, man.
And when you said waking people up, obviously this record was actually released on Def Jam Columbia. Was there any times the record executives heard these songs and was like, yo, man, we got to retract this or we got to change this? Like, was there anything on these records that when you guys put out, were they ever kind of like really skittish to be like, oh my God, like, we're going to get heat for this? Or were they all for your guys' words?
No, I think Rick Rubin leading the way. No, I think they was really with it. We did a short little showcase for them, and they was like, wow, this is interesting. We've never seen anything like this, because you have a lot of different dynamics that was going on. You had brothers marching on stage drilling, man. You had Chuck D's dynamic voice and then hard-hitting lyrics. You had Flavor Flav doing something that the industry has never have seen before, pardon me, and have never heard before. And then you had Terminator X doing some stuff that, it's like, wow. So the combination of all of that, you getting hit upside the head with some songs that's hitting you in the face, and then the beats was ridiculous. You understand what I'm saying? So all of that hitting you at once, either you're going to submit or you just got to say, something, I don't know what this is, and I'm just going to wait until, somebody has to explain this to me. At the same time, the world is still turning, and you got to live in it. You understand? It's just a little bit rumble. It's a rumble right now in it. It's a little wobble in it right now because Public Enemy's beats was just off the chain, and music industry people dug it. So to answer your question directly, no. Rick Rubin led the way. Chuck D, Hank Shockley, Keith, Eric Sadler, Bomb Squad, and the rest of us followed their lead, and we made it happen. We were overseas when Bring the Noise came out. It was sent to us, and we played it for the first time overseas, and it rocked, man. I mean, it rocked the first time, one of the first times we heard it. The audience heard it at the same time.
Did you guys like actually play it at a show, or were you guys like at a radio station?
Oh, yeah, we was in concert. Yeah.
I gotta say, those were some lucky fans. I'll tell you that.
Pardon me?
I said those were definitely some lucky fans to be able to experience just that experience with you guys.
Yo, to be honest with you, bro, I was shocked. I'm looking at the audience, looking at me. I'm looking at them like, you hearing what I'm hearing? Like, wow. Yeah.
And also, Rebel Without a Pause, man, I found that beat was just absolutely extraordinary, man. That was pretty much like a giant slap in the face, but in a good way, man. That was definitely some heat. Obviously, the words in that song meant a whole lot as well, but just the beat itself, if we're just talking about beats, Rebel Without a Pause had a phenomenal instrumental.
Yeah, you're talking about having the Chinese restaurants stay open to 2 or 3 in the morning right across the street from 510 South Franklin in Hempstead. You're talking about 2:30 in the morning beats. You're talking about coming through the crates when everyone else is asleep. You understand what I'm saying? Going back to it the next day and say, oh, damn, for real? Okay, yeah, let's put some noise on that. Let's go. That's it.
And also as well, March 27th of 1990, you actually released your debut solo album titled Pawns in the Game. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this record, and of course, what originally made you decide to venture off and of course, become a solo artist?
Well, I've never really wanted to be a solo artist. I knew every aspect of the recording game and how it worked, but I never saw myself as an MC to that degree. I was the Minister of Information. I thought I did that job well. I lent my voice and my writing abilities to the songs, but what I lent to the Public Enemy songs more than anything was probably my spirit and doing the research for the song, which was my thing. I'll show up every now and then on a song to add some things or some background vocals or a little piece here and there. And I played my role well. You understand what I'm saying? I never really wanted to be a solo artist. When I was given the opportunity, Chuck basically like, yo, you can do it, man. Let's see if we can work the deal with Luke and, just express yourself on your own product. I put together the last Asiatic Disciples, because those brothers had a lot more MC skills than I did. I was more of a spoken word kind of cat. You understand what I'm saying? But I put it together to push forward the message, just to carry a different kind of message. Somewhat in the same vein, but a different kind of message to our audience, man.
And I gotta say as well, that was such a powerful record as well, in my personal opinion. But one thing I do have to ask, with obviously you only made one record with the Disciples, was that by choice, or was that just something after the first record the Disciples kind of want to venture off and do their own thing after that?
No, I think they wanted to venture off, but they were, I left the door open for them to come back and do Chaos the Wisdom album, which I had the pleasure of working with Tone Control and Society and a couple of other artists. But they were, the door was open. They could have came back and we could have done, more songs together. I didn't mind. At that time, I really wanted a band because I was really into fusions. I was into rap metal at that particular time, but never got a chance to put the band together. So me and Society, along with Lord Mecca, Buddha, and I think at that time, this is when I met Sean Carter. I put together the those songs that became my second and third album, and then the fourth and fifth album, along with Society again, the God Damage album. Of course, going back and forth as I do now with Sean Carter and other people, It was a beautiful thing putting it together. Loved working with Last Asiatic Disciples because they brought a youthful energy, a different outlook, a different energy to the projects, and I kind of followed their lead on a lot of them songs if you really listen.
And also, as well, aside from the music industry for a moment, you were also a member of the 5% Nation. For the listeners that actually aren't quite familiar with this movement, I was wondering if you can actually tell our listeners a bit more about it.
Well, the 5% Nation of Gods and Earth was simply a splinter or offshoot of the Nation of Islam. I think a lot of the restrictive laws of Islam in the 5% Nation of Gods and Earth were relaxed to the point where it gave the 5% Nation a lot more freedom to do things like do music, as you've seen with Queen Latifah, Poor Righteous Teachers, Grand Nubian, King Sun, oh man, what's the brother's name, man? Rakim Shabazz, dang. And a few other artists. But Busta Rhymes, LONS was part of the 5% Nation of Gods and Earth. So, it was like, it was knowing lessons, it was refining yourself, it was going out in the street and teaching on any and every street corner. It was beautiful because you were able to express yourself in songs, you were able to express yourself doing spoken word and whatever it is that you've done artistically, culturally. A lot of things you couldn't do in the Nation of Islam. You would be hard-pressed to name 3 groups that have came out of the Nation of Islam. Can you name a few?
I am not going to lie to you. As a hip-hop DJ that's interviewed countless hip-hop artists, I'm not going to lie, I'm stumped.
Well, not only hip-hop, Kool and the Gang came out of the Nation of Islam.
The only one that comes to my mind, but I know he didn't come out of it, he throughout his career, he actually ventured into Islam, is actually Napoleon of the Outlaws, but I do know he didn't come from it, he just ventured into it later on within his career. Right. But as for coming, like, kind of growing into it, I'm completely stumped.
Right. Well, a lot of artists that were 5%ers, they didn't express that on some of their songs, but a lot of them did because that was just the thing. Once you were God body, you were God body.
That is true.
Yep.
And I gotta say as well, like, the list of hip-hop artists that are part of the 5% Nation is absolutely incredible as well. And and I do know if we actually sit here and name them all, you know what I mean, it would definitely take up the entire interview. So if anybody is actually interested, is listening, you always can Google it as well. And I think some of the names will definitely surprise you.
Yeah, and I think the audience would be very shocked to know, wow, that person was 5%. It's like, yeah, for real. So yeah, but it was a beautiful thing, simply because we were now looking at hip hop as the main way to educate the masses of the people.
And also as well, in 2013, yourself, along with the rest of the members of Public Enemy, became the 4th hip-hop act to actually be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I was wondering if you can actually just tell our listeners the story behind this eventful night in 2013, and of course, what was it like actually being inducted and recognized by this organization for your guys' contribution to the hip-hop culture?
It was a beautiful, beautiful night, man. All the people that I've met that night, too numerous to mention. It was breathtaking, man, to be honest with you, man. But my night didn't go so well. So I was having some beef at that time with Quincy Jones. I'm not sure if your audience is ready for this. You want me to continue to tell the story?
Hey, if you want to, you definitely have the floor. That is entirely your choice. But I am, me personally, as the interviewer, I am intrigued, but I can't force it out of you.
Okay, so I had some beef with Quincy Jones, and he had sent a message through Chuck D that he wanted to speak to me. So I said, cool, I don't mind speaking to him. Of course, I'm going to respect my elders. He wanted to talk to me about some things that I wrote in my book, Psychological Covert War on Hip-Hop, and I was doing online on YouTube, dealing with the Illuminati takeover of hip-hop. So when I got a chance to speak to him face-to-face, I came and introduced myself. He said, pull up a chair, so I sat down in front of him. And as Allah is my witness and as Chuck D's wife is my witness, he sat there and the man cursed me out. Like, I took it though. It was cool. Now this is the night that I'm being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I'm being cursed out by Quincy Jones. I'm like, okay. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what he said, but that conversation between me, him, and a few people that was ear hustling. But I'm saying that's how my night began.
I got to say,
I'm happy now, man, because, yeah, it's just one of those kind of stories I got to tell in full, man, when the world is ready to hear it.
I got to say, I definitely respect that, but I'm pretty sure us, everyone that is listening live, and of course later on our website, I'm pretty sure they're definitely going to get the gist of the whole story, man. But hopefully the night got better for you after that, because I'm pretty sure being up there and hearing the amazing words that Spike Lee and Harry actually said about you guys must have definitely put a cleaner scent in the air after that Quincy Jones incident.
Right, and I don't mean to cut you off, but and it did, man. It was beautiful, man. It was like to know that I sat and watched this guy's music. I mean, watch this guy's movies and listen to his music and watch and know the work he did behind the scenes with the movement, the civil rights movement. To have Harry Belafonte, man, and I'm on stage with him, I was like, wow. I mean, man. I'm speechless even right now. You understand what I'm saying? Oh, it's a beautiful thing, man. To be honored by your peers, by the people in the music industry, to know that my name will be etched in history forever. Yeah, I mean, what more can I ask for, man? You understand what I'm saying? And I do have Chuck D and Hank Shockley to thank for bringing me into the fold and seeing my worth and seeing what I can contribute to it.
And of course, on May 21st of 2020, you actually released the amazing 11-track album titled Inner G-Code. I was wondering if you can actually tell us a bit more about this recently released album, and of course, where can we actually buy or stream ourselves a copy of it today?
Well, of course, the pandemic had hit, and I was already in the midst of doing music, trying to get my footing back, actually producing, writing it, recording it, everything on my own now. And then when the pandemic hit, I said, wow, I really got to do it by myself. So the people that I'm working with, I'm only talking to them on the phone and FaceTiming them. You're bouncing ideas off certain people, running songs by them and that kind of thing. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing, man. I had fun actually putting it together. And as Sean Carter is my witness, I said, I only want 10 people to buy this record. If 11 people buy it, it's a success for me. You know, thousands of people bought it, and I said, fine, I'm good, no problem. I put it out. I put it out on Bandcamp. People can get it on Bandcamp. It's just the Inner G-Code, Professor Griff. Or people can call me directly, 678-557-2919. I don't mind. I'll take phone calls. You understand what I'm saying? I put it out. And my wife is on there, Soleil. I worked with her daughter, who sang on Etheric Rebel. Who else did I have on there? I had O'Henny Savant. Please look that brother up. O'Henny Savant. Dynamic musician, dynamic MC, plays 5 or 6 instruments. He's a hip-hop head. Look that brother up for real. It was a beautiful thing, man. They had people on there that I could work with. I had a couple of musicians on there that I worked with. So, yeah, it was a beautiful project. My man D Boyd from Rabbit Productions, who I'm working with now on this album that I'm working on now, and this album is called The Enemy of My Enemy. So it was a very, very fun project to work on, man, especially being shut and having to stay in the house and stay away from people.
It must have been a different way to put an album together as well, because of course, obviously, you grew up in the golden age of hip hop, man, that's when you first started. So you were in the studio, you really had to interact, and now everything is sending files back and forth. Especially with the pandemic, like I know you just mentioned it put quite a bit of damper on actually just the production process of this record, but I have to say it definitely came out thoroughly amazing, and I actually am going to be giving our listeners a taste of this project as well if they haven't already heard it. I got Bleed Don't Shoot lined up and ready to be aired here on 97.7 FM immediately following this broadcast.
Oh yeah, I did that song with my little cousin, as a matter of fact. She was a teenager when we put that together, and I just wanted to give her some shine because she's a dynamic MC. I just said, this is the subject. I want you to tell the story of how you're looking through, what lens you're viewing these protests through. Whether you agree, disagree, we're not concerned with that. The world just needs to hear it from a teenager. You understand what I'm saying? What lens are you viewing this whole movement, this protest movement, police shootings and killings and people dying in the street? Give us your view. And she gave it.
And also, as well, you are actually a published author where you actually released multiple books and where you also recently released a children's book as well. I was wondering if you can actually tell us what inspired you to actually become an author, and of course, where can we actually buy not only the children's book today, but also all your other amazing books throughout the years as well?
Well, my thing is I've been writing for a minute. I call it a different kind. I say writing because that's what people know. But I take a blank canvas. I know what I want to feed to the people. It's just that I find an artistic way to feed it to the people. I don't like sitting at a typewriter at my computer, pounding out paragraph after paragraph, coming up with a 300-page book that no one will read, page 67. I said to myself, I was driving along and I started seeing graffiti in some unscrupulous places on a sign that tells you which direction to go on what highway. On the back of that sign, above your head on the highway, how did someone get up there and put graffiti up there? So as I start to see graffiti, I said, I got it. I need to put a book together of images because a picture's worth 1,000 words, but symbols are worth 1,000 pictures. And that was the impetus for me to put it together. So I put together the psychological covert war on hip-hop, and then I put together a book called Symbology. And you can get both of those books at my website, www.professorgriff.me. And I put those books together, image first, and then I explained them. And then I went on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, wherever I can be heard, and I explained and I broke those images down. And it resonated with young people. Because if I would put a book together of 300-400 pages, young people would not have read it at all. And to be honest with you, good bro, they said my books are trash. They said I do cut and paste authorship. I said, let me ask you something. Did Che Guevara use traditional warfare when he went down into the jungles of the places that he went, when he was in Cuba and other places? No. He worked with the peasants. He worked with the people. He worked with whatever tool he had at his disposal, and that's what I did.
See, the one thing with me as well, I just got to comment on that, because a lot of people that talk these words probably have never even released a book and probably haven't even read a book in the past, decades. So it's like, I don't know, me personally, I wouldn't even listen to those individuals, man, because until they actually write a book and make the sales that Professor Griff makes, you can't even comment, in my honest opinion.
Exactly. So what I did, I just took that as inspiration, so to speak. It's like, okay, I'm reaching the masses of the people. The masses of the people that you've actually forgot about. You don't care about the teenagers anymore. You won't allow them to express themselves and understand and do music the way they see it, through their own lens. You understand what I'm saying? There was a question about the Illuminati in hip-hop, and I answered the question with my writings. I said, yeah, the Illuminati takeover of hip-hop. The vibration and the frequency of how hip-hop began, we don't hear that nowadays. We don't hear higher infinite power healing our people. I'm going to say that again. We don't hear hip-hop. We don't hear the boom bap. All right? We need to bring that back. But young people express hip-hop and rap the way they express it. I just expressed it through the written word. I just expressed it through my books. I didn't write my books for them, those critics. I wrote it for the 12, 13, and 14-year-olds.
Exactly, and the 12, 13-year-olds that actually definitely enjoy those contexts of books as well.
So, thanks, man. So my children's book are geared towards a 5 to 12-year-old.
And I gotta say as well, it definitely is actually a well put together book. Because I remember Sean, he actually sent me like the cover and all this other stuff. So I actually went and actually checked it out. And I do have to say, I personally, I'm not just saying this because I have the man himself on my radio station. It definitely is a very well put together book, man. I really do. I really do hope that it gets plastered in every single library in the children's section all over the world. Because I really think that is definitely a book that kids need to read.
Oh, give thanks, man. When you start talking about the deeper aspect of ABCs, I thought about it, I meditated on it, and when I came out of the meditation, I said, wow, what if we introduce the next generation to the artists that this generation and my generation pulled from? So what's wrong with putting Harry Belafonte on the same page as Hazel Scott? What's wrong with putting Erykah Badu on the same page as Earth, Wind & Fire and explaining all of those groups to a 5 or a 10-year-old? I think that's deep. I think that's groundbreaking. I think that's the next level. I'm not saying it because I put it together. I'm just saying I wish I had that. I wish I sat on my dad's knee and he explained to me who the Temptations were. You understand what I'm saying? As I learned my ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. That's the book that I put together. Yet again, I'll probably get criticized for it, but yet again, it's a tool for parents to put in their hands and grandparents and educators, mentors, and jugglers to put in their hands to help reach and bridge the musical gap to that next generation.
But I have to ask, what is next for yourself, Professor Griff? Because I do know we talked about your most recently released album. I know you mentioned that you actually have a new album currently in the works and new books. And I do know as well that if we would have sat here and talked about your entire career, we would definitely be here until the early morning hours. So I have to ask, is there anything we happen to miss? Anything else you do indeed still want to talk about or promote? Well, we still got you here live on 97.7 Outlaw Radio FM this evening.
Well, what I would like to do, to be honest with you, I want to get permission from some of the artists that I admire to put them on a baseball card with some vegan bubble gum and make, you remember you used to get the baseball cards, the 3 cards with the stick of bubble gum in one pack?
I remember those. Oh, those were the days, man.
I want to do that with hip-hop, but it has to be vegan bubble gum. I can't put the poison out there. It got to be vegan. But anyway.
I don't blame you, man. You know what I mean?
I want to promote a healthier lifestyle. I want to promote all the artists that kind of want to do music, man. I want to be their support. I want to be someone they can look back at whatever body of work that I put out, whether it's whether it's the Black History 101 Mobile Museum, which I've been with for 18 years, traveling around the country, setting up rare artifacts to educate people. I've been doing that for 18 years. I want to be able to take my camera out because I've been a photographer for the last 10. I want to be able to kind of shoot and put exhibits out so people can say, okay, this man is a true artist. He's not only a recording artist, but he's an artist. So I have projects in the works that, I want to do a meditation album with my wife because we meditate. And I want to introduce that to balance out what's going on in the streets. Balance out what's going on in the music industry. You understand what I'm saying? What's wrong with the balance? The truth, balance, justice, and reciprocity. What is wrong with that? I walked in on Zach one time from Rage Against the Machine. I walked in on him meditating and chanting in his dressing room. I said, I apologize, man. I'm sorry, bro. Let me let you finish doing your thing. And he understood, and I understood. That's personal time. You connecting with yourself so you can go connect with your audience. Anyway, shout out to Rage Against the Machine.
And also as well, Griff, this is the time in the interview quickly that I give a chance for the individual that does slide into the radio station airwaves, just a chance to give shout-outs to whomever they want to give shout-outs to, but most of all, your social media handles. That way our listeners can follow you and stay updated on everything Professor Griff if they're not already doing so. But this is an old-school hip-hop radio station, so I really hope they're already following you.
I hope they are also, because right now, and I didn't mind when I spoke with you the other day, I didn't mind you asking me who do I listen to, who are my top 5 MCs, and I didn't mind that, because right now, every single day, man, for the last month, I've been listening to Coach Contra, man. You heard of them brothers?
I haven't, no, I haven't. It's weird. I tend to listen to the stuff that I grew up listening to. I really need to start giving the newer generation a chance, in my honest opinion.
Yeah, and I feel the same way you feel. But I'm take it from a 62-year-old old hip hop head, man. Go check out Coach Contra. You would not be dissatisfied. Seriously.
I definitely will
Really?
check them out the moment we get off. The moment we get off the air, I'm definitely going to. If Professor Griff said check them out, I already know they're legit, so I got to check them out.
So my handle, just Professor Griff, at Professor Griff, man, just on Facebook, on Instagram. I do my show every Tuesday and Thursday on Serious Minds, talking about what's going on domestically and globally. Just kind of, giving the people some information from the Minister of Information. Yeah, I'm starting a new show with some friends of mine so we can get a balance going. It's called On the Masses, man, ATM, On the Masses.
And I got to say, first and foremost, Griff, thank you so much, man, for just giving us a bit of your time here this evening. And I just got to thank you personally as well, man, for making hip-hop that we all had the opportunity to enjoy for so many years, man. Like I told you, I have been a Public Enemy fan for as long as I can actually remember. So thank you so much for just inspiring not only myself, but also an entire generation as well, man. And I'm thoroughly looking forward to more Professor Griff music in the future, because I know you've only just begun.
Oh, give thanks. And I really appreciate you, man, because to be honest with you, and I think you already know this, Sean probably already told you, I don't get this from a lot of people. You understand what I'm saying? People really don't see my worth in this thing and how much I really, truly do care about this culture called hip-hop, which is higher infinite power, healing our people, man. So I really appreciate you, and thanks for the interview, man.
Hey, man, you are most certainly welcome. I got to say, definitely an honor, and anytime, man, you're always welcome back on my radio station, because I know we only touched base on like 1% of your iconic career here this evening. So I do know if you ever do decide to come back on my station, we'll definitely have a lot more to talk about as well.
Okay, next time I come back, we'll talk about being receiving the Lifetime Achievement or the Grammy for a Lifetime Achievement Award. All right.
Hey, we'll definitely save that one for next time, most definitely.
And the rest of that Quincy Jones story. But I got you, bro.
Hey, most definitely. Thank you so much again, Professor Griff, and I'm pretty sure we'll definitely talk again soon. And definitely shout out to Sean as well for actually making this interview possible this evening as well.
All right, give thanks. Take care, man, and peace to the listeners, man. Y'all stay up. Remember, hip hop, higher infinite power, healing our people. Peace.